on viewer television. I am Nsikak Evans. The headlines. Federal government begins evacuation of stranded Nigerians in Ukraine, gives procedures for exercise. Nigeria Communications Commission warns Nigerians against banking app targeting malware. Plus, Ukraine petitions International Court of Justice against Russia over invasion. President Muhammadu Buhari says progress has been made in achieving the targets set out in Nigeria's strategy for immunization and primary healthcare system strengthening. The president cited primarily in reports showing that coverage for the third dose of the pentavalent vaccine increased from 33% in 2017 to 63% in 2019. He assured that the government would increase funding to the health sector through the basic healthcare provision funds and other initiatives. The president assured that the government will improve work on routine immunization performance, contain outbreaks of the circulating COVID-derived polio virus, strengthen surveillance against wild polio virus, and curb the spread of COVID-19.
To announce that despite the coronavirus pandemic, we are gradually making progress towards achieving the targets set out in Nigeria's strategy for immunization and primary healthcare system strengthening. Preliminary reports show that coverage for the third dose of the pentavalent vaccine increased from 33% in 2017 to 63% in 2019, dropping to 56% in 2021 due to the impact of the coronavirus pandemic. However, there is a lot more to do. Gavi's disbursement of a total sum of $1.5 billion United States dollars in grants to support immunization and health system strengthening in Nigeria since 2001 has significant results, but I know that as partners, we would all like to see this translated into an improvement in our health indices and outcomes, particularly in the area of maternal and newborn.
The Shehu of Borno has called on the federal government to continue its oil exploration in the state. The royal father made the appeal during a one-day official visit of Vice President Yemi Osinbajo to Borno State for the commissioning of multi-projects and launching of MSME clinic. Let's take a report on that.
Vice President, together with the state governor, commissioned completed projects which include Legacy Doctors Quarters, Resilience Commercial Center, Children Learning Center, road projects, and others. He also paid homage to the Shehu of Borno. The royal father wants the federal government to continue exploration of oil in Borno.
More so, considering the relative peace in Borno State, I wish to also appeal to Your Excellency for the resumption of oil exploration in the Chad Basin, which was suspended due to the insecurity.
The Vice President was at the State Government House for the launching of Micro, Small and Medium Clinic, which witnessed the exhibition of products by business owners. Professor Yemi Osinbajo said that President Buhari has directed the establishment of a world-class facility to drive the growth and development of MSME in Borno State.
Furthermore, Mr. President has directed that such a facility must reflect the choices of the people of the state and must be commissioned within the next 4 months. participants at this clinic, let me repeat as I've said to some of those that we've met already. This clinic is for you. An MSME clinic is like a hospital for small businesses. To make your complaints to the secretariat team or to the regulatory authorities. And I'm sure that all the issues will be addressed satisfactorily. And since you have them with you, you can make suggestions and observations to them.
In view of the security challenges we are going through, the Borno State government have in the last 2.5 years of this administration committed huge resources in the rehabilitation and settlement drive in order to redefine the image of the state as it is known and still home of peace and hospitality. In this regard, we have executed over 556 projects spread across the state, among which are those commissioned by His Excellency President Muhammadu Buhari.
The newly launched MSME will also help in addressing challenges affecting the sector, which include financial constraints, technological throwbacks, human resource capacity, and access to markets. Bitrus Kuruti, Viewer Television News, Maiduguri.
Vice President Yemi Osibajo said the federal government will empower repentant Boko Haram members to be self-reliant. He disclosed this when addressing repentant Boko Haram fighters at the Hajj compound of Air Force Base in Maiduguri. The vice president was on official visit to Borno State to commission multiple projects and launch of the MSME clinic.
And that you also want to settle down and work as peaceful members of our country. And the desire of the federal government is to make sure that we settle you well so that you can do your own work and your business and you can live with your families in peace. We will be working with you and with the state government and with donor agencies and friends to ensure that we're able to provide you with a means of not just income but a place where you can settle down with your families and do your own work and do your own business.
President Muhammadu Buhari has applauded the Bao Group for its strides in narrowing the gap between demand and supply of cement in the country. The president spoke at State House Abuja while receiving a top delegation from Bao Group led by the chairman Abdul Rabiu on a thank-you visit. President Buhari had last month visited Sokoto to commission the Line 4 of Bua Cement, which would ensure further availability of cement, of which Nigerians suffer about 3 million tons deficit. The Bua Group chairman Abdul Rabiu said Bua Group was currently building more factories in 2 different parts of the country, which will contribute about 6 million additional tons to cement supply. The chairman said the support of President Muhammadu Buhari for Nigerian enterprise was unflinching, as it has been their major encouragement to add more value.
I congratulate you for proving to us Nigerians that it's not only Dogon Turanchi that matters. Yes, there's one productive angle which God has given to all Nigerians. So I thank you very much for coming. I'm very pleased with this visit. I thank you very much. I wish you much more success. And I'm pleased that you have employed people across Nigeria.
Nigeria today has a local supply deficit of about 3 million metric tons of cement every year, a number which is ever increasing. This is why we'll continue to invest in the development of new plants across Nigeria. In addition to our new Sokoto plant, we are currently constructing 2 other plants in Edo State and Sokoto, which will be completed next year, inshallah. They will add an additional 6 million metric tons annually when they start production and will go a long way in bridging the current supply gap as well as bringing the prices of this important commodity down.
The federal government has announced that it has made necessary arrangements to evacuate to safety stranded Nigerians in Ukraine who have been caught up by the Russia-Ukraine war through 4 borders between Poland and Ukraine. This is as Russia's bombing of Ukraine enters the 3rd day with thousands of Nigerians stranded in Ukraine desperate to flee the country. This was made known by the chairman, chief executive officer of the Nigerians in Diaspora Commission, Abike Dabiri Erewa, in a viral video where she said that there are 8 borders between Poland and Ukraine, with the agency recommending 4 to Nigerians for use. Abike Dabiri Erewa asked those in eastern Ukraine to endeavor to move closer to the border, especially western Ukraine, through train or bus, and cautioned that moving towards the border could come with its own dangers, noting that it was important for affected Nigerians to keep their passports and their student visa as they ply the routes towards the border. Now, the House of Representatives has deliberated on a bill aimed at taking punitive measures against workers in the banking sector who indulge in fraudulent activities. Under the proposed legislation sponsored by Representative Francis Waive, those found guilty could be jailed for a term from 10 to 20 years in addition to forfeiture of assets. Let's take a report on that.
The Speaker of the House of Representatives, Femi Gbajabiamila, represented by the House Leader, Alhassan Adudogwa, employs stakeholders to work together with the committee to strengthen legislation to boost the banking sector.
Technology change, culture change, the law also changed to ensure that our system does not become susceptible to the machinations of bad actors. So our purpose here is to work together as legislators and major stakeholders in this subsector to consider this and strengthen legislations that are helpful tool in ensuring that operators in the banking system act with utmost integrity, taking care to avoid every appearance of corruption or backhand dealing.
Officials from the EFCC Code of Conduct Bureau, the CBN, and the NLC made presentations during the public hearing in support of the amendments, but it was not without some adjustment to some sections of the bill.
This proposed amendment bill is seeking to substitute that word appropriate authority with the central bank. Honourable members, I find this proposal, in my opinion, justiciable and justifiable, since by the provisions of the Central Bank Act, it is the central bank that exercises regulatory control, supervises, and issues guidelines to all banks and other financial institutions as specified in the Principal Act. It is therefore justifiable and naturally should be the appropriate authority to require bank employees to declare their assets, and it is the central bank also that should take further steps to verify such declaration. And it is the central bank that may ensure the enforcement of the provision of this act in case of any breach by any employee of any of the banks under its control.
Of the intention of the amendment bill to include all financial institutions under the purview of other regulators for the application of the act, we suggest a change in the title of the act from Bank Employee Declaration of Asset Act to Financial Institution Employee Declaration of Asset Act. Consequential amendment should be made accordingly, Mr. Chairman.
Proposed amendment to Section 1 of the Principal Act, which provides inter alia that an employee shall declare his assets, including assets of his spouse and unmarried children under 18, immediately after assuming duty. Our view is that this amendment should be limited to the assets of the bank employee alone, as it may not be feasible for the employees to make full declarations in relation to his or her spouse's assets for various reasons.
we do adopt part of the submission made by Central Bank, where it highlighted the area of changing the title of the bill from bank employees to financial institutions employees, ETC Act. We're also seeking for the extension of the application of this bill to cover the designated non-financial institutions, in addition to the financial institutions. This is part of the designated non-financial institutions, those that have been designated. This is one of the submissions we have made.
The bill particularly seeks to amend Section 5, Clause 1 of the Act by substituting the existing words with the chief executive of every bank shall once in every year, but no later than 7th January, submit to the Appropriation Authority a list of all employees who joined or left the employment of the bank in the immediate precedence, 12 months expiring on the 31st December of the preceding year.
When News Live returns, the Nigerian Communications Commission has discovered a newly hatched malicious software that steals users' banking app login credentials on Android devices. Details of these and more comes to you after the break. Stay tuned.
Feel the spirit, feel the rhythm. It is a moment for worship and praise, a time to connect with the world. Right here on Gospel Light, I bring to your home screens everything the gospel, from musical countdowns to having your favorite gospel artist right here on the program, and as well reporting any gospel event around your area.
You are the source of my strength. You are the strength of my life. All power belongs to you.
Well, I feel blessed and privileged.
Enquiries for sponsorship for advertisement, do contact us on our email at gospellight.ng@gmail.com. You can as well follow us on our social media platform on Instagram at gospellight.ng, and you can also contact us on 081-3216-1451. Do remain blessed.
Hello guys, and welcome to Motion Reel. Today I'll be taking you on a movie trip.
Did you transfer to Parkhurst?
Where are you from? Certainly not from the same.
Are you a fan of drama? Because this is purely drama.
I guess she's a genuine to the job. That's exactly what she does.
The remaining cast gave us their energy too. My favorite. I don't want to sound biased, but somebody has to have a favorite, right?
What's the weight on your shoulder?
So the main character of this movie, who is Funke Akindele, she played both roles, funny enough. It was about twins. The movie is all about twins, and she played both roles perfectly. She was a strong woman, like a very woman filled with wisdom, and also it showed her deep roots in her culture.
Watch Motion Reel on Viewer Television channel 191 on Startimes and channel 2097 on Tstv. Viewer Television, giving you your voice.
Welcome back. If you are just joining us, this is News Live, a recap of our top stories. Federal government begins evacuation of stranded Nigerians in Ukraine, gives procedures for exercise. Nigeria Communications Commission warns Nigerians against banking app targeting malware. Plus, Ukraine petitions International Court of Justice against Russia over invasion. The National Agency for Food and Drug Administration and Control says it has inaugurated 73 new Hilux vehicles, saloon cars and staff buses to enhance operational efficiency. This was disclosed by the agency's resident media consultant Olusayo Akintola in Abuja on Sunday. The statement quoted the agency Director General Professor Mojisola Adeyeye as saying that the vehicles would address many challenges faced by the agency in its operations. She said that it will put a stop to the compromising situation where clients bring their vehicles in a ferry to the agency staff or site for inspection. According to her, it is not encouraging when staff of the agency depends on their clients to transport them to the factory for inspection. Adeyeye said that each state needs to have at least 3 Hilux vehicles, adding that the new vehicles would be used by officials of Food Safety and Applied Nutrition Directorate. Worried by that some marketers sell the premium motor spirit above 165 naira, the Nigerian Union of Petroleum and Natural Gas Workers has promised to sanction erring filling stations. The Petroleum Union body directed marketers who have taken advantage of the current fuel scarcity and long queues occasioned by influx of contaminated fuel to revert to the official depot's price in the next 24 hours. In a statement issued by the union's president and general secretary Prince William Akporia and Afolabi Olawale revealed that unscrupulous marketers were selling fuel from the depots at prices far above the official rate aimed at forcing illegal increases in the pump price, compounding the woes of the masses in the midst of fuel scarcity. The union's president and general secretary threatened to name and shame the affected marketers if they continued with their illegal action. The Nigerian Communications Commission has discovered a newly hatched malicious software that steals users' banking app login credentials on Android devices. The NCC spokesman Ikechukwu Adende disclosed this in a statement on Sunday. The malware, which was discovered by the NCC's Computer Security Incident Response Team, steals credentials combined with the use of SMS and notification interception to log in and use potential two-factor authentication tokens. Adinde further explained that once up and running on a victim's device, Exomorph can harvest device information and SMS intercepted notifications and new SMS perform overlay attacks and prevent users from uninstalling it. It said that the Commission had advised telecom consumers to be on alert in order not to fall victims of the manipulation. The Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, has declared Musa Aga of the People's Democratic Party as the winner of the Jos North Basab Federal Constituency in Plateau State. INEC returning officer and senior lecturer at the University of Jos, Dr. Yinka Oyerinde, announced the results of the election in Jos on Sunday. According to the returning officer, the PDP candidate who currently represents Iregwe Rokubea State constituency in the Plateau State House of Assembly scored 40,343 votes to defeat his closest rival, Mohammed Al-Khali of the People's Redemption Party, who scored 37,757 votes. The candidate of the All Progressives Congress, Abe Aku, came to a distant third position with 26,111 votes. Key stakeholders are supporting the establishment of the National Youth Service Corps Trust Fund aimed at providing a sustainable source of funds for NYSC payment of core allowances and to serve as startup funds for past press corps members. At a public hearing to establish the NYSC Trust Fund and Youth Entrepreneurship Development Trust Fund and the management team to administer the funds, the National Assembly, Federal Ministry of Youth and Sports, Nigerian Law Reform Commission agreed that the trust fund is long overdue. Let's take a report on that.
This public hearing has been convened by the House of Representatives Committee on Youth Development. Sponsor of the bill, Akin Folari Muyiwa, EPC lawmaker from Ondo State, explained the great benefits of the bill to Nigerian Youth Corps and Nigeria at large.
Some of the reasons for establishing the NYSC are not far-fetched. One is to inculcate the spirit of nationalism and patriotism in our youth, to encourage graduates in nation building. Thirdly, to emphasize the spirit of oneness and brotherhood of Nigeria, irrespective of cultural, religious, and their social background.
The Director General of NYSC, while supporting the bill, says once the COP members are empowered, it will go a long way to curb criminality.
Access Bank, Unity Bank, amongst others, have been able to establish their own business. For those of you that watch our program, NYSC Half Hour, every Wednesday by 7:30, we had one yesterday. You can agree with me that the COP members are doing a lot. And once given this opportunity of adequate training for in-camp and post-camp training on skill acquisition, entrepreneurship empowerment, the core members will do a lot. Once they're empowered at the end of the service, what they get where they're provided startup capitals. I don't think there any act of, they will go to any act of criminality. And once they're engaged, not engage you to go and carry AK-47.
Representing the Federal Ministry of Youth and Sports, Amina Daurang, as director of the ministry, says the establishment of the fund will lessen the burden on the federal government to pay the monthly stipends.
Establishment of the fund will lessen the burden of the payment of monthly federal allowances of core members. That means freeing of fund for the federal government to attend to other areas of critical needs.
The House Committee is expected to submit a report before the House for further legislative action.
As part of efforts to reposition nursing education and practice in Kaduna State, nurses have been called upon to remember their primary purpose as caregivers. These were the reminders in a two-day workshop organized by the National Association of Nurses and Midwives Kaduna State Chapter in collaboration with the Department of Nursing, Kaduna State Ministry of Health. In our address, the Kaduna State Commissioner of Health, Amina Boloni, says nurses are the largest professionals in healthcare facility. Therefore, their conduct can go a long way in making a positive impact on the people. While fielding questions from newsmen, the state chairman of the association, Ishaku Yakubu, and other stakeholders say the program is geared towards training nurses based on the ethics of the profession.
For the good of our people, because at the end of the day, the service we're providing is for the people, the citizens, and the residents of the state and the country at large.
Every participant here, whether you are a nurse or not a nurse, we want you to go with the mindset that we want to go back to the ideals. We want to produce quality nurses and midwives in Kaduna State, and let everybody go and provide quality education. And then the nursing ethics that we are known with, let us go back and enforce this nursing ethics.
you and the way you carry out your duty, despite the poor working condition at times, despite the poor remuneration at times, despite the insecurity at times. Because nobody will pay you the work you are doing.
The national leadership of the College of Education Academic Staff Union has called for urgent dialogue with the Ogun State Governor, Dapo Abiodun, to resolve the lingering crisis at the Tai Solari College of Education, Omu, Ijebu. The union said its endurance is now at the brink and may be forced to resort to an industrial action following unsuccessful attempts to have an audience with the governor. Addressing newsmen at a press conference in Abeokuta, the Ogun State capital, the union's national vice president, Olusegun Lana, said the audience with the governor would afford them to bring to the table the win-win ideas that would help him consolidate his administration's laudable efforts in revamping the college. Lana listed the festering issues inherited by Abiodun's administration to include accumulation of unpaid fractions of salary spanning a period of 76 months, unremitted pension contributions, as well as promotion without financial effects, among several other demoralizing conditions. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky says his country has filed a complaint against Russia at the International Court of Justice and accused Moscow of carrying out state terrorism in its invasion of his country. Zelensky said that civilian areas were being targeted indiscriminately as Ukrainian forces tried to repel the Russian attack in a number of cities, including the capital, Kiev. Russian President Vladimir Putin ordered his forces into Ukraine last week, claiming genocide was being committed against Russian-speaking residents of the Donbas region of eastern Ukraine, with no evidence to back his assertion. The claim was seen by countries supporting Ukraine as a baseless excuse to carry out the expected invasion. Now, German Chancellor Olaf Scholz said his country is committing 100 billion euro to a special fund for its armed forces, the latest in a series of major shifts in German defense and security policy this weekend in response to the Russian invasion to Ukraine. Germany has long resisted pressure from the United States and other nations to raise its defense spending to 2% of GDP in the light of the country's 20th century historic and militarist past. The country's entire defense budget in 2021 was 74 billion euros. However, Scholz told a special session of the Bundestag in Berlin on Sunday morning that it's clear the need to invest significantly more in the security of their country in order to protect their freedom and democracy. Scholz also announced that Germany will build 2 liquefied natural gas terminals and raise its natural gas reserves to cut its dependence on Russia gas after Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Now, COVID-19 cases dropped below 20,000 for the 4th consecutive days on Sunday, as Singapore reported 14,228 new infections, down from 16,859 on Sunday. Cases had previously crossed the 20,000 mark on Tuesday and Wednesday. There were 1,553 COVID-19 cases in hospital on Sunday, the same as the day before, the Ministry of Health said in its nightly COVID-19 update. The number of patients in the intensive care unit fell to 46, down from 50 on Sunday, while 214 patients required oxygen support. 8 deaths were reported on Sunday. Of the local cases, 11,809 were detected through antigen rapid tests, which means the patients display no symptoms on their symptoms or their symptoms were mild. And that's all on News Live, but before we go, a recap of our airlines. Federal government begins evacuation of stranded Nigerians in Ukraine, gives procedures for exercise. Nigeria Communications Commission warns Nigerians against banking app targeting malware. Plus, Ukraine petitions International Court of Justice against Russia over invasion. Many thanks for watching. I am Nsikak Evans. Please stay tuned and enjoy the rest of our programs.